boys and girls, and welcome to the latest edition of the Roundup. My name is Brian Skowronski. I'm going to be your leadoff batter for today, but you better believe that the bases are juiced with all the latest stats, info, and storylines that are taking place right here in our own backyard, North Central Ohio baseball and softball on the diamond. We'll jump into all of the conference standings, what the upcoming games mean throughout this week, and what we just saw last week that really impressed us all. But first, we began with our double play, and we'll kick things off with the recent struggles of the Ontario Lady Warriors. Send it over to G-Man and Storm.
Thank you very much, Brian. This is the double play now. Storm Bluntschly joined by the illustrious Garret Parlett. And Garrett, I had a chance to go check out Ontario softball. Things were starting good for them. Finello had a 2-run shot, and they capitalized on a Cardington-Lincoln error to go up 3-0. But after that, I mean, the Cardington-Lincoln bats in the 5th inning were bussin'. I mean, they had, I believe, 5 runs that inning and then never looked back, taking the win. So that's 6 straight for Ontario that they've dropped. So a little bit of a worrisome record now. But I believe you also had a chance to check out some softball this week.
Yes, Rome. I seen Clear Fork actually go up against Ontario. Ontario came out quick. Taylor Mullins had that home run to start things off for them. They were up 1-0, but after that, Clear Fork really just shut the doors down. They scored 7 runs and really just completely dominated Ontario from the get-go. They had 7 stolen bases. Courtney Palmer had 3 of them, and Trinity Cook had another 2. So a very dominating performance from Clear Fork. They didn't really have that many hits. They only had 4 hits. Their defense and their pitching got it done for them. And then I seen Crestview softball go up against South Central, and they swept that season series by a combined score of 26-0. Kylie Ringler went 4 for 4, had 11 Ks and a no-hitter. So a very dominating performance as the Cougars are still undefeated in the finals conference. I seen you want to talk a little bit about Shelby baseball. What happened between them and Gallion? I seen it was a little bit of a wild finish.
Yeah, a little bit of an unorthodox ending over there at Shelby. I mean, you don't see very many games go into extra innings, and you don't see very many of those games end on a pass ball. I believe it was Merrick Albert on third. Pretty much just got to walk home and walk it off for Shelby. Things kind of started similar to the other game I covered, though. Gallion jumped out to a quick 3-0 lead, but after that, Logan Green, the Shelby pitcher, was phenomenal, had 5 strikeouts, pitched 8 innings, coming off an injury, so a great performance from him. But in the bottom of the 6th, Shelby just absolutely dominated, scored 3 runs, and I mean, Gallion just kind of fell apart, had a lot of errors. It was just a really rough night for them, and Shelby ended up with the W. But I think that's going to do it over here for the double play. I believe Brian Skowronski is going to come steal the show.
That's right. Appreciate you guys. Speaking of Shelby baseball, we've got Travis over here standing by. He's got your MOAC breakdown. As we continue to round 3rd here, after our double play, where they just finished up G-Man and Storm talking about Shelby baseball, this is Travis Berardi. He's going to break down the MOAC standings for you a little bit more. And we had talked right here last week, and it was so jumbled across the top. Did we find anything out the last 7 days?
Maybe 1 or 2 teams kind of dropped down, but still no in the MOAC. Ontario, one of the 2 games against Clear Fork was played. Mother Nature decided to throw snow at us once again at the end of April. I don't know why, but it happened. Didn't play the second game, but the first game, Ontario with a big 11-5 win over Clear Fork, stays at 1 loss. They stay a game ahead of that Shelby team. It's won, 10 straight? They're on fire. They just reached in the state polls as well. Pleasant with 2 losses. Then you have Clear Fork with a 3rd loss. They still play Ontario on Friday in that makeup game. Clear Fork also plays Pleasant, who has the 2 losses, so that could really mix things up. Shelby is off from MOAC play this week, so it's going to be a little bit of a jumble. Ontario may end up in a tie with those 2 if Clear Fork can get the win, but still a lot of baseball to be played and still not a clear-cut winner in that. Moving into the KMAC, Fredericktown and Highland both with 1 loss. Northmore and Centerburg, I believe, both with 3 losses. Northmore this week, they take on Highland. They take on Fredericktown. Northmore can somehow win out. They're right in it for a KMAC championship, but there's 3 or 4 teams still left in that. In the N10, it's a little bit more clear. Colonel Crawford, the other C team, your magic number is 4. You get 4 wins to finish out the N10 schedule, you win it outright. If you get, say, 3 wins and Cary and Seneca East loses a game, that adds to your magic number. Just that you're up by 1 game at the end of the season. They have a 2-game lead on both those teams. So Colonel Crawford easily controls their own destiny. Their magic number right now is at 4.
And the Eagles have been rocking and rolling. We've been covering them a bunch. And it looks like that's a team that's going to land firmly on top of the conference standings when it's all said and done, all by themselves, Travis. And in the OCC, might be the same exact situation for Worcester, who has a couple of game lead as well in the conference standings. And this is a team that is just loaded from top to bottom. So perhaps the Generals and the Eagles could run away with both of their leagues. And one of those teams is in the state power polls this week. The other is not. Who's in there?
Well, first for softball for the state power polls, Mount Vernon in Division 1. They're 4th. In Division 2, Cardington Lincoln, a team that we've talked about a lot that came back and beat Ontario. They go from 2 to number 1. They're the number 1 team in the state. And Colonel Crawford on the girls' side, they're playing Bucyrus for a Northern 10 championship. They're playing those games against them this week, so that's a big series against them. They're 7th in the standings. Now over to the boys' side, Shelby, you're receiving votes now in Division 2. They're creeping up there after that 3-2 start, 10 in a row. They're in the talks for the state rankings in Division 3. There's a lot of teams. Crawford right there, they're 10th. Fredericktown 13th, Northmore 15th, and Marion Pleasant, they're up there now at 20th. In Division 4, Hillsdale, they're still sticking around 11th, and welcome East Knox.
Hey.
The Bulldogs are ranked 20th, so the KMAC, the N10, and the MOAC, a lot of teams getting ranked in the state polls, so a lot of good competition around here in North Central Ohio.
And I love how Colonel Crawford goes 4-0 this last week and then drops a bunch of spots in the state standings. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me, but a lot of things don't, Travis. All right, one thing that does for sure is the top performances of the week. Let's go ahead and finish rounding third. Let's head for home. So we have rounded third, and Travis and I on our way to home bumped into these two guys here. So we're going to break down the best thing that we saw all week throughout our coverage right here on the OH.Report. And Travis, we'll let you go first.
It was a game I saw earlier in the week. Ontario Clear Fork, Kyle Walters, 3 for 3, a double, couple RBI, and he made a fantastic play in the 7th inning to shut things down as Ontario remains in first place in the MAC thanks to his offensive effort and the rest from his team as well, but he led the attack to keep Ontario in first place.
Okay, I think I'm going to be a bit of a cheater today. Just don't tell my wife about that. And I'm going to go with a whole collective performance over the week, and that's Cade Hamilton of Colonel Crawford. I saw this kid be lights out from the plate in the 2 games that I covered. You were at a game where he was the winning pitcher on the hill, and he's just such a cool, calm, collected guy, but he understands baseball better than any player that I've had an opportunity to cover this year. He just knows how to play the sport from top to bottom. So Cade Hamilton really impressed me throughout the entire week last week for Colonel Crawford, going 4-0.
And I think I'm going to be a little bit of a cheater as well, Brian. I got the whole Cardington Lincoln squad on the pallet today. I mean, coming back down 3-0 against an Ontario team who's been struggling recently, but they were able, like I said, in the 5th inning to get the bats going, get a couple home runs, get a few big hits. I believe they had a triple in there as well. 14-0, now ranked number 1 in the state, and they're on a 14-game win streak, so that's pretty impressive.
I'm going to have to go back to my old roots and obviously pick Kyla Ringler after the performance she had. 4 for 4 at the plate with 4 RBIs, had a home run in the game too, and had 11 Ks with a no-hitter. So such a dominating performance, and she's really been doing it all year long. So shout out to Kyla Ringler. That's my top performer this week.
We've really been doing it all year long right here on the OH.Report, bringing you that coverage each and every week on the baseball and softball diamonds. And guess what? We're not slowing down again this week. You can catch us out on a field near you real soon. But for now, from the Roundup, we're out. Until next time, guys.